Hey, Coach, man, what time is it?
Oh, Slim, you know what time it is. 6 o'clock, straight up and down. It's HomeSpun Sports with Coach John Montgomery. Sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. Welcome. We sure enough glad you are here again. This is HomeSpun Sports. It's sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. I'm right here in good old H-Town, Houston, Texas. Way up there in Dale City, Oklahoma. The last P in the shell, my baby boy. What's up, Slam?
How you doing, Coach, man?
Oh, man, Slam. Let me tell you. Oh, man, Cloud 9. Yeah. 10 minus 1 is the cloud I'm on. But, hey, man, listen, we have a very special show for you tonight.
We do.
3 guys that just walk it, talk it, first class in all endeavors. 3 hell of a football players. And one of them in the Hall of Fame, the other one played 8 or 9 years in the league, and the other made first team all SWAC. And I'm just so grateful that they took time to bless our show. So without any further ado, please make welcome tight end, Southern University, Craig Davis, and defensive back, Southern University, and drafted by the New England Patriots, Maurice Hurst. And last and certainly not least, Southern University's own and NFL Hall of Famer, Aeneas Williams.
Let's go.
Oh, man. Guys, thank you so much. This is really my heart's delight, and something that we had been aspiring to do, and now to see this come into fruition, to God be the glory. I'm just so grateful, Aeneas. I know you're busy. We got things going on with the Spirit Church. Craig, you got things going on in Baton Rouge, and Maurice, both all 3 of you guys heavily involved in Southern and numerous activities, but that you would come on. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much.
And don't forget Forte, LC 42.
Forte High School.
LC 42.
I got it.
Coach, thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for having us.
No, man, Aeneas, man, listen, right quick, just so our audience will know. Let's go back to the early August, late July 1988.
Yeah.
In a staff meeting at Southern University, College Football Hall of Fame head coach, Marino Castle, Southern University's head coach, sitting in a staff meeting room, and he's looking at the depth chart of the roster we had coming in. And we had them all lined up, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And it is his determination that we didn't have enough bodies. We ain't got enough people to practice with. Because he knew we were going to be very young. And we ended up starting 3 true freshmen in the offensive line. So the Godfather, Marino Chasm, said, fellas, we got to get some more bodies out here. We going to have a walk-on camp. He said, we're going to put up placards all over campus, nail signs on trees, in bulletin boards, in class meeting room. We're going to have a walk-on camp, give all these young guys walking the campus that think they can play a chance to be a Southern Jag. He said, if we don't get nothing out of this but maybe 8 or 10 bodies, that's 8 or 10 bodies we got to beat up on of our scholarship guys. He the boss, so that's what we did. And at the team meeting, when we first brought the team back, he's up in front of the team announcing we're going to buy this walk-on camp. And I happened to be at the back of the auditorium when Maurice Hurst and Craig Davis are sitting there talking about, man, we need to get our homeboy to come walk on. Man, our homeboy, I bet homeboy can help us win some game. And they turn around and they see me standing behind him. And they said, Coach Montgomery. So we got a homeboy, just hung out on the yard, playing Kappa. And said, man, he was a good little player in high school, Coach. I bet he can help us win some game. I said, man, bring him by my office. The next day, they brought Aeneas Williams to my office. And I'm going to tell you, man, Aeneas, when you walked in that room, 3 things I remember. Number 1, you had a square chin. That was always a good sign, Craig. That square chin. They got a square chin? That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Second thing was, man, I looked in his eyes and I could see, man, what am I getting myself into? But his eyes were blue as the Pacific Ocean. Blue as this southern shirt. And the next thing, when I extended my hand to say, I'm John Montgomery, and you said, I'm Aeneas Williams, his hand felt like a vice grip. I said, whoa. So, man, listen, I'm so grateful that God put me at that place in time. But hey, Aeneas, man, geez, you got to tip my cap to you, bro.
Curtis, it's an honor to be on. Thank you for your persistence. Thank you, Slim, for being there with your dad, man, and HomeSpun and being on this podcast. Craig Scuba, we know him affectionately as Scuba, and Maurice, man. Yeah. But Coach, these guys, I want to have this Fortier hat on. I'll take it off now, but because they were guys that I just looked up to, Craig and Maurice, when I was at Fortier. Both of them being 1 year older than I was, but just the whole thing without me ever thinking that I can ever play in the pros or anything like that. Long before that, having a relationship with friends, and I end up, I don't know if you guys know this, I didn't start at Fortier until I got my senior year.
What?
It was after their class left, and they had a good class. They both of them finished in 1985, and I got a chance. The great thing about being a great leader is I learned to be a great follower. And it was following Craig. It was following Maurice, following Kevin Lewis and those guys. So by the time I now started as a senior, I became the leader, but I became a good leader because I had been a good follower. And so thank you, Craig. Thank you, Maurice. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This is not about me. Coach, thank you for your persistence. Slim, and I can't say when you see Dad and Slim working together, it is an honor to be on with you guys. Thank you for having me.
I know, because it's always been respectful and he's always been professional. He was a player, and I gotta take the story on in the broadcast, but I gotta take the story that it was selfish move on his part that actually Aeneas was thinking about me before him because we were playing the Bayou and we were playing, it was his first play. He was a safety, and he to me and he said, Mo, you need to get more in a you go to safety and I'm gonna play the corner. This was without coaching for me. And I said, what's your name? He said, you need to get some steps. So he thought about my career outside of his career at that point. I went in the middle of the Bayou, and we were playing a guy named was Stark, the wide receiver that Grandma would like to throw to. And he said, go, Mo, go to safety and find some balls. And that told me he was thinking about my career more than his own career, which gave me the greatest respect for him as a player. And I wasn't focusing on the pro side, although I was scouted. And he let me go back there. Unfortunately, jammed the poor guy so good that he never got open, and I never got an interception.
So
But
now, Craig,
Maurice,
Maurice,
in my career.
Guys, Craig. So you guys finished in '85, right?
Yes, sir.
High school.
Okay. Now, Eric Dooley, head coach Southern University, very close to you guys. And I know Eric's going to be watching the show because Eric came on the show.
Yes.
And big shout out Southern Jags. But
Yeah.
you guys finished in '85. You didn't consider anybody other than Southern? Because wait a minute, because Craig, you could play, bro. I mean, Grambling didn't offer you, Jackson State didn't offer you, Alcorn didn't offer you, Craig.
They did. Grambling offered a scholarship. Tulane offered a scholarship. Nicholls State offered a scholarship. A few other colleges. I think it was University. I think it was the University of Houston. It was a few of them, Coach. But Maurice and I took a trip to Southern University, and I remember it just being so special. Just being on that campus, hanging out with some of the older guys, Kevin Paul, and I think it was Calvin McGee at the time, rest in peace. But Southern was always a special place in my heart. And Aeneas, I don't know if you remember, you and I took a speech class together prior to you coming out. And Coach, our speeches were about each other. Do you remember that day?
I do remember. Yes, sir.
And Coach, we're saying our speeches, and it got emotional for the both of us, right? We in the class, man, we crying and hugging. And so I'll say this, maybe he came out for whatever reason, but I know one thing, it was where God intended for all of us to be at that particular time.
There's no question. There's no question. And Craig, what you just said is spot on, my brother, because I look back on it, man, and come on, man, that's been 40 years ago. Yeah. If I ain't standing at the back of that gym,
hello, Joe.
If I ain't standing at the back of that gym, Aeneas, I tell people this all the time. I say, if you ever meet Aeneas Williams, or you ever greet him, just walk up to him and say, "Hey, anesthesia," and I promise you, he gonna say, "John Montgomery." How you know John Montgomery? I know when he would light people up on that practice, Aeneas, I didn't know you could cover. The one thing that I remember the most was, man, we'd be way on the other end of the field. All of a sudden you hear, "Whack out!" Man, we'd look at each other and say, "That walk on done caught another one." Ooh, Lord.
He played strong safety in high school, right? And I played tight end. So I knew what he was capable of because he and I would go at it in practice every day in high school. So I knew he was one of the toughest people that I've played against. So that's why I was a huge proponent for him coming out there, because I just knew what he was capable of.
Aeneas.
Let me say, and a lot of people, I don't talk about Aeneas' career. I don't talk a lot about what he accomplished. But I know one thing was, people don't know Aeneas used to run. We used to track meet, and Aeneas used to run the 2 miles and the 1 mile run just to get us points to win the district. So he had what a lot of players don't have in the NFL, and people are born with that, is endurance.
He ain't lying about that.
He had endurance. People like him, Jerry Rice, they become Hall of Famers because of their endurance. It was Aeneas' ability to do the same thing every single play at a better pace than you did. You might have ran 4.240, but he ran 4.4, 4.5 at play when he slowed down. And people don't know, he ran a 2 miles, 1 mile run in a track meet to get us points.
Aeneas, let me ask you this, man. You walk on in '88.
Yes.
I was just there. I was offensive coordinator. Aeneas, when did it come to you, I can play this game and have a chance to play this game at the next level? When did you come to that knowledge?
And that's as I listen to Craig and I listen to Maurice, Coach. You said I would hit people, but I couldn't cover. And the truth is, I didn't believe it. And what I learned as it relates to being a person of faith, a Christ follower, I learned from Maurice and Craig the power of when somebody else believes you can do something.
That's right. That's right.
Being around Maurice, I couldn't cover. I'm quite sure, like guys like Clarence Verdun and all those guys, when we were training at Tulane during the summer, when them guys saw me in the league, they couldn't believe it was even me, Coach. So I like to make sure everybody here, we talked about God puts us together at different times.
Uh-huh.
The work ethic that these guys had. As I said, Craig and Maurice are the guys, Kevin Lewis, the guys I looked up to. And all I wanted to do is get around them. All I wanted to do is get in that environment because I learned your environment will change you before you change it.
Okay.
So as long as I got around Maurice and Kevin, Craig and those guys, they were well recruited coming out of high school. I knew it coming out of class 85. I knew that they were going to do well, but they were not just great athletes, they were great people. And so, Coach, I just want to make sure I'm very clear that I almost have tears in my eyes. I didn't believe, I wasn't sure I can do this.
You led Aeneas, you led the nation in interceptions your last year at Southern.
13 means a 13 to me. And I was like, I was in the NFL. And I told my coach at the time, I said, Parcells, he's got 13. And he's at Southern University. And Parcells, they wanted to draft. And I said, Coach, he can play. It was
Great.
like when I followed the sweat. And I would follow when I right before this. I said he had 13 interceptions, which was amazing. And he was all
Craig.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you finished your career. I told you when I first met you, I said, if you do everything just like I tell you, you'll be first team all SWAC. You remember when you came and told me that?
Yeah.
Not the preseason, the final all SWAC team. And you made first team all SWAC. From there, you tried out with San Diego, or was it Woo?
San Diego.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All
yes,
right.
sir.
Yeah.
Spent some time on the developmental squad out there. I was on the very first developmental squad in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Aeneas.
Yes, sir.
You still following the Jags, and I know you've seen the facility improvements. It's such a rich tradition of great players. I mean, geez, 3 Hall of Famers. I mean, it's a lot of SEC. It's you, Mel Blount, and 2 Hall of Famers or 3?
It's 3. Harold Carmichael is the 3rd.
Yes, sir.
And thank you. The great Philadelphia Eagle, Harold Carmichael. So it's 3 Hall of Famers, but Isaiah Robertson, Frank Pitts, Harold McClinton. I mean, Ken Ellis. You could make a strong argument that Southern is quarterback you. Cornerback you. Corner. That's right. Because of Ken Ellis, yourself, and Mel Blount. Are you still involved in helping with recruiting Aeneas?
I'm not involved actively as it relates to recruiting, but first, you already have done it. To know that Coach Eric Dooley, which Southern University was his dream job.
Okay.
To see Coach Dooley, he's also probably the best receiver, and Craig and Maurice can attest to this. Because Coach Dooley used to work out with us. He's probably the best receiver that I've ever seen that did not get an opportunity to get on an NFL team.
Yeah.
Literally, I could not cover Coach Dooley. And not only was he a great athlete, he also is a great coach.
Oh, no question.
Anyway,
no question. That's
why I see now he's a head coach.
All three of you guys. You know who the Jags got on October the 29th. Jackson State. They got DR. They got Coach Prime.
Right.
That's right. Well, actually, Coach Prime has Coach Dooley.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Let's get it right, Coach.
Okay. All right. Well,
Coach Dooley, to tell you the story about Coach Dooley was when I came to Forsyth High School as a running back, as a sophomore, and Coach Dooley went to the head coach, and he said, Coach, Maurice would be better fit as a wide receiver. And I was a third tailback at Forsyth High School. And Dooley went to the head coach. He said, Coach, he might be a better receiver because he catches the ball well. I moved to wide receiver. I was a sophomore. I ended up as like the third wide receiver in that formation. And Dooley really was instrumental in me actually growing because Dooley graduated, went to Tennessee State. He would always come back. We would all work out. Me, Cornelius, Craig. We would work out with professional players who had played professionally. And Dooley would teach us some of the things that we would face going to the next level of college. And he would come back and Maurice, this is how they run the out routes. This is how they run their go routes. And I learned that. And my senior, I end up in the district catching a lot of passes. But I was ready.
Maurice.
People don't know. We practiced with Archie Manning in high school. He was a high school athlete. We let him throw to us, right, Cornelius?
Yes,
you remember
sir.
that? We let Tate throw it when he was like a freshman sophomore human. And that just made it better to play practice with those professionals, those guys that are ahead of us at every level.
Coach, I think his audio is out.
Aeneas.
Yes, sir.
How did you come up with the idea, the name, everything behind the Spirit Church? I know you, what you're doing now, Spirit Church.
Yeah, so I want my wife to come because I want Maurice and Craig to see my wife. She's
because you and your wife both go. Hi, Tracy.
Yeah.
Hey, Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
So nice.
Wonderful.
I was at that wedding. I was at the wedding.
Exactly.
Tracy, I haven't seen you since the Bluff. Since the days of the Bluff.
Oh, wow. Many years. A long time.
Many years ago. But Aeneas, you and Tracy are co-pastors of the Spirit Church. How did that come up? How did that come involved?
Well, I given my life to Jesus Christ my junior year in college. Actually, it was the same summer that I walked on the team. And the story goes, a lot of times our Heavenly Father is a chess player.
Okay.
So Slim, I don't know how old Slim is, but Slim, my junior year, my degree is in accounting. And my junior year, I did a lot of interviews. One was with Cargill, Fortune 500 company.
Okay.
I did an on-campus interview, and then I got invited to do a plant visit.
Okay.
Usually, if you do a plant visit, you pretty much know you're going to get the job. But when I did the plant visit, I thought everything went well. 2 weeks later, they sent a letter back saying, we're not going to offer you an internship. We're sorry. All my other friends that were in accounting got internships. This is when I begin to understand when God closes a door,
He gives it open another
one. Open, right?
Amen.
And the truth was, Slim, if I had gotten an internship, I would have never walked on the team that summer. That was the exact summer I walked on the team.
Ooh, look at Jesus. So, look at Jesus. Come on now.
Coach, can you ask me, how did we end up naming our church the Spirit Church? It's simply put, when we got born again, I got born again. And then the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God began. I asked God, I said, God, if you're real, show me how you relate to us in everyday life.
Okay.
And there's two things he taught me. One, the nature, purpose. And two, how he speaks to us. He speaks to our heart. So Michael Lindsay is another guy that, man, I would wish was on this podcast. Because Michael also, besides Maurice, besides Craig, was my freshman and sophomore year when I would see Michael Lindsay, who was on the football team, as you know.
Yeah.
He would always ask me, he says, hey, man, homeboy, why don't you walk on the team? And I would tell Mike, my freshman and sophomore year, I said, no, man, because the other backstory to this, Coach Montgomery, is my dad's the first college graduate on both sides of the family.
Wow.
So when I didn't get offered scholarships coming out, I saw Maurice and Craig getting the scholarship offers when they were coming out. And when I didn't get any coming out, and we had a great team, and I was one of the good leaders on that team in '86. When I didn't get his scholarship offers, I'm the youngest in the family, 3 boys. So my parents were like, all right, let's go. It's time to get this education.
No question.
So when I gave my life to Christ, that same summer, the year I walked on, the Lord put in my heart, I saw Michael Lindsay. Michael was coming from the cafeteria.
Yep.
Asked me again. He said, homeboy, why don't you walk on? I told Michael, I said, I'm walking on. And he was shocked. He was saying, and because it had been 2 years, I've been saying no, he probably assumed I wasn't going to do it. And this is the other thing I found out. And I don't know why I'm speaking to you, Slim, but I'm led to call you Slim.
Go ahead.
I had no Coach, I had no idea.
He's not Slim, no, Niz. He's not Slim.
Let him talk. Let him talk, Murray. Come on.
Yeah, I had no idea, Coach, that when God put on my heart to walk on, that the position I was going out for some reason, Coach Dewey was trying to replace the guy that was in his position. I know his name. I don't want to say it on the podcast because if you ever see it, I don't want him to feel embarrassed by it. But the bottom line is that position, I ended up starting by the 5th game of the season.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the reason I walked on is because it was in my heart. Remember, God taught me 2 things.
That's right.
Nature of purpose, he says, I do, and I create everything, every person with a purpose.
No.
And I speak to them through their hearts. A lot of times God speaks to our hearts, but then we talk ourselves out of it with our heads.
No question.
So when he put it on my heart, it didn't make sense. You guys, Craig and Maurice, Coach, y'all had already been through 2 days about 4 weeks.
Yep.
So now I'm walking on the team a week before the season starts. It makes no sense. So a lot of the players didn't like me either. Even though my homeboys liked me, a lot of other cats didn't like me because, man, they've been working out 4 weeks, 2 days, and with Coach Chasm 3 days. And now I'm walking off, and Coach Dewey allows me to start my 5th game of the season. So when it comes to the reason why we named our church the Spirit Church, because the Holy Spirit is the person that's now active in the earth realm. Christ is seated next to the Father and is now learning to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. Hey, Aeneas, go walk on. But it makes no sense. It doesn't have to make sense when it comes down to what God says, Coach.
Hey,
that's right. That's right.
Your thoughts are not as far as the heavens are above the earth. That's how far his thinking is over our thinking.
Let me say
I couldn't fathom nor understand then.
Bethune-Cookman, and it was me, Aeneas, John Cage, and Kurt Davenport, all from Sports High School, had an interception in a single game, which I don't think has ever happened. 4 players from one high school into college that had an interception in a single football game.
So, hey, look, guys. Hey, listen. Before I let you guys get out of here, Aeneas, thank you so much for taking time out of your time. Craig, man, listen. You know you my man. 50 grand. Hey, listen. So we got a big event coming up, right, Craig?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when's the date? When we gonna put that ring on the finger? When's the big date?
Who, me? Slim.
Hey, chill out.
Okay. Well, we looking
got it.
forward to it. Let me know in plenty of time. I done got old. My chunking arm ain't too good for throwing rice.
Look at Niz getting his kicks out of this one. Hey, look, I just want to say, Coach, I love you. Aeneas, I love you. Maurice, I love you. Slim, thank you so much. Aeneas, this just speaks to who you are, brother. You're just so selfless, man. And you will put down anything you're doing just to be a part of anything special that's happening. So, like I always tell you when I see you, I love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep praying for us. And, guys, man, thank you. It's been a pleasure for me just to be on this phone call.
Man, Craig, thanks so much. Maurice, thanks so much. Anesthesia, my brother.
Hey, why you call him anesthesia?
Because he would knock you. Because he would knock you smooth out.
Hey, hold on. Hey, I found out one thing. I need gotta tell me about Sean Wallace. Was he a more powerful?
Absolutely.
Was Sean Wallace more powerful?
I am so appreciative for you coming on our show.
Yeah,
you walk in the talk. Aeneas, God bless you in your ministry. And to you and your wife, Tracy, man, God bless you in your ministry. Maurice, be safe, brother. Take care. Craig,
give me a movie deal, Aeneas.
Say what?
I got you.
Boys, it was great.
I call you. I love you.
Love you, man.
Love you.
Love y'all.
Y'all
Thank
take
you
care.
so much.
Yo, no problem. Y'all take care.
I owe you a lot. Thank you very much, my friend.
We got you.
All right. Maurice, take care, all right?
I love you. I love you like a brother. Hey, and you and I got a special bond, right?
Absolutely. Love you,
Yes,
Love
sir.
you, Aeneas. Love you, Maurice.
All right.
Peace and blessings, Craig. All right, guys.
All right.
Take care. Wow.
But that was a hell of a reunion, man.
Yeah, that's a hell of a reunion. That's a hell of a reunion. I'm telling you one thing, Slim. Believe this when I tell you, Craig Davis could play. Maurice Hurst could play. I knew about them coming to the job. They said they got a cornerback kid named Maurice Hurst. He gonna play on Sunday. You got a big tight end that can run and catch the ball. So I knew I had a pretty good feel for what I had, coming there. So man, so you see, Slim, I'm representing. I got my Southern, my blue and gold.
Got to.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for Slim's Pickings. Go ahead, dude.
Yes, sir.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
There are two FCS conferences, the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and the MEAC, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And unfortunately, the latter is, quite frankly, struggling. Originally, there were 7 schools in the MEAC: Delaware State, Howard University, Maryland Eastern Shore, Morgan State, North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State. The conference expanded in 1979 with the addition of FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. And then, in 1985, Hampton and Norfolk State joined the conference as well. But now, in this new era of realignment, which is all about the money, y'all, the teams that make up the 2022 football season for the MEAC are Delaware State, Howard, Morgan State, Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State, the former champs. The bottom line is the membership to the MEAC is $250,000. A membership to any other FCS D1 is $1.7 million. Ooh, Sonia Steele, the new commissioner, Sonia Steele of the MEAC, has a mammoth job trying to hold this conference together. Stay tuned, sports fans. And that's Slim's Pickings.
It's a hell of a job. Ain't no question. That woman, Sonia Steele, she got a big mountain ahead. Slim, it's all about the money. I was at Savannah State in 2008, 2009. They were talking about we going to the MEAC, and they were Division II then, going to the MEAC. And they tried it. They failed. Winston-Salem, Division II school. They went to the MEAC. They tried it. They failed. Those smaller HBCUs geographically on that eastern and southeast part of the country, geographically, you think it would be a good fit. But monetarily, because of their enrollment, it's hard for them to maintain that kind of capital finance to afford it. It costs $1.7 million to be in D1.
Coach, North Carolina A&T, the largest expanded HBCU enrollment wise, and they dipped.
Yeah, and they dipped. Yeah, for more money.
Yeah.
And Slim, you know, you look at in D1 talking about realignment, USC joining the Big Ten, Oklahoma and Texas, SEC. If the PWIs are realigning for money, what you think the HBCU is going to be doing?
The same thing, Coach.
Ain't no question. Ain't no question. Yeah, you spot on, bro.
So, Coach, in college football, Alabama got picked 100 out of 181 total picks for number one. They got 158 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they completely took the majority of the first place votes, disregarding the former national champions, Georgia. I mean, showing no respect, Coach.
Yeah. Georgia got what, 18 first place votes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Alabama, 158. You spot on. I think Texas A&M got 3. Absolutely, Mildred. And for the 7th straight year, Alabama led the SEC in the media picks, first place votes. 7 straight year.
7.
So, Slim, Alabama run things in the SEC, and Alabama's running things in the FBS.
So, in your opinion,
the perennial football program. Who will challenge them, Slim? Who do you think is going to challenge Alabama?
Coach, it's got to be Georgia. It's got to be. Now, considering the fact that they lost 15 starters on offense and defense in the 22 draft, in the NFL 22. But if you look at the strength of schedule, they only play 2 SEC opponents.
Okay.
And that's the University of South Carolina and Auburn.
Okay, now Auburn, South Carolina is SEC East. That's in their league.
Excuse me, SEC East. They only play at 2. They only play SEC East team. They play South Carolina, then they play Auburn, then they play Tennessee, and they got Missouri. That's not really a strong schedule, Coach. Everybody else.
No. And so you saying that the only team on the west side that they play is who?
Is Auburn.
Is Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and Georgia will be good. But Slim, okay, I get you say Georgia. I say LSU.
Why?
And I say LSU. I think LSU will be the next team that will challenge Alabama and be a threat to take over. And if anybody takes over, I'm tell you why. Because number one, they got a very good head coach. Brian Kelly is an excellent head coach. And I say he's an excellent head coach on the strength of what he did at Cincinnati before he went to Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Kelly went to Notre Dame and he said, Notre Dame is my dream job. Okay? Mm-hmm. And Brian Kelly took the Fighting Irish to the playoffs twice.
Yep, CFP twice.
He got drove like a 58 Plymouth against Alabama and against Clemson. Okay?
Okay.
Slim, coaching is all about timing. And Brian Kelly, while he was hot, was smart enough to understand I can get the LSU job if I want it. And I have taken Notre Dame as far as I can take them. So he split. Yep. And he went to LSU where geographically, and hear me well, geographically, he can get more talent and certainly more African-American talent. And he recognized that, Slim. And he got the hell away from South Bend, Indiana. And he was right to do it.
Now, you know what, Coach?
Yeah.
Now, I know we just had a few Southern Jags on the show.
Uh-huh.
Imagine if Brian Kelly had them at LSU.
Hey, and listen, if he go in there now, Aeneas Williams, probably Mario
he'll find
Church,
another.
Craig Davis, I get it. But I'm gonna tell you something else too, Slim. I'm gonna tell you something else too. Brian Kelly left and got and took the LSU job for the same reason that Marcus Freeman was hired at Notre Dame to replace him.
Because the good black athletes, Coach, to get the good black athletes to go to Notre Dame, you needed a good black head coach.
Well, I tell you one thing, Slim. They didn't hire that brother out of their commitment to affirmative action. I promise you that.
No, they didn't, Coach.
I promise you that. And what the people at Notre Dame, this is Notre Dame for crying out loud. They could have hired whoever they wanted to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why would they go after Marcus Freeman? I contend, number one, he was in the system. He was highly qualified. Now, he's highly qualified. He's a good ball coach.
You got to be.
He was highly qualified. We hope that he can be a good head football coach. He was a hell of a D coordinator. Okay. Mm-hmm. But they counting on Marcus Freeman to do what has not been done at Notre Dame since 1988, when Lou Holtz had enough good black talent. I'm talking about Tony Rice at quarterback. He had some show enough dogs on that team. Now, I heard that they raised the fence and let a couple slide under, but at any rate, he had them in, and that's what they're counting on, is for Marcus Freeman to bridge that gap, because Brian Kelly recognized we gonna be 3 or 4, 5 or 6 soul brothers away. And so he went to Louisiana and the SEC West, figuring, hey, wait a minute. Les Miles win a national championship here? Hold up. I can win a national championship here.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do this. Because it's like we talked about in our meetings before, Coach, with that Horning that went to Notre Dame. And, and the fact that they turned their back on him, and he made it perfectly clear. He's like, look, only way Notre Dame's really going to win some national championships like Alabama is if we kind of drop that academic standard a little bit. And
Paul Horning. You're absolutely right, Mildred. Paul Horning made that comment, and he was right. Paul Horning was right. And Notre Dame got to decide if we're going to be a great academic institution or we're going to be a power in D1 football. And we got to make some concessions about who we let get admitted into this high-profile academic environment that's trying to be a high-profile football program. You can get a whole different athlete admitted at them SEC schools than you can get admitted at Notre Dame. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Now, Coach, in professional sports, your boy Kyler Murray, I believe we got to talk about this, Coach. I mean, I have never seen a contract that stipulates you have to go home outside of team facilities and study independently for 4 mandated hours. That's a part of your contract, bro.
Yeah, and they have amended that contract, Slim, but the horse done jumped over the corral.
I mean, the damage is done, Coach.
The damage is done now. 2 questions in my mind. Number one, why would you want to make that kind of a character statement against his work ethic on a person that you want to enter into a long-range relationship with?
Because that's
why would you do that? That's the definition. That's the definition of dysfunctionality. Yep. Okay, you done signed a long-term agreement with this guy, but you say, oh, by the way, you lazy, you don't study enough film, you just win on your athletic ability. Okay, now hey, Slim, too. Now I gotta call a spade here, no pun intended. Why would you sign that contract? You signed it now, Kyler Murray. And ain't no way on God's green earth you can't make me believe that the Kyler Murray was not well aware of the wording in that contract.
Nope.
Okay?
Even if you didn't read it, it was read to you.
And if he wasn't, shame on you. But I'm gonna share this with you, Slim. Your granny, your grandmama used to always say this. She said, John too, if you catch your wife cheating on you and you decide to stay with her, you have determined that it is in your best interest to remain in that relationship. Don't you tell nobody but Jesus. I'm gonna tell you
Why,
why.
Coach? Why?
She said, because if you tell anybody besides Jesus, everybody you tell, when you post, happy birthday, darling, happy anniversary, sweetheart, they gonna look at you like you a damn fool. Why would you, okay, enter into a long-term relationship and try to discredit this man's credibility, his work ethic? That's the very definition of insanity. And I'm gonna tell you something, Slim. I'm gonna tell you something else too. I think Warren Moon said it. And he's spot on correct. That's a slap in the face of a black quarterback. Because basically what they're saying is, we win because of our athletic ability. Okay, and you ain't studied enough film, so we're gonna put this little clause in there. Even though they took it out, the damage been done. Yeah, it's the definition of dysfunctionality, no question.
You're proving it's like you're proving us right.
Yeah.
You're proving us you can't coach us. The only thing you can do is
and the first time something come up, they have marked that young man, and the first time something come up, it all happened because he ain't put in the first place.
Exactly what it's back to.
Don't be stupid. Let me tell you something. Good high school quarterbacks put in more than 4 hours. Get out of here with that mess. And it's an indictment against Cliff Kingsbury because you coaching.
You wanted forget that, Coach. You wanted him.
Yeah,
you put your name on the line. You was like, if I get the first draft, if I get the first pick in the draft, I know who I'm taking.
And you asked for it, and you got it, Toyota, and that's an indictment against him as well.
Now, also in professional sports, Coach, the NFC East, in my opinion, it's the worst division in football, but we got to talk about it anyway. The NFC East, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders, Washington Commanders,
yeah,
and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
In your opinion, who's coming out there as the champion?
Well, it was worse division last year, Slim. I think it's gonna be one hell of a division this year, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because all 4 of them teams going into the 2022 season with something to prove. Okay,
I can agree with that.
All 4.
I can get down with that.
Dallas head football coach Mike McCarthy, he got to prove he can coach. Okay, because the most penalized team in the NFL last year, Dallas Cowboys. How the season ended for them last year. Dak Prescott running down the field, don't know the rules, trying to clock the ball down, time expired. There were exhibitions of horrendously bad clock management with Dallas Cowboys all last season. So
that only
got to prove he can coach. Mike McCarthy got to prove he can coach. Coach, let me tell you something, partner. Sean Payton sitting there like this here. So he got to prove he can coach.
Come on.
Now, the Washington Commanders, Carson Wentz got to prove he can play.
Yeah.
The world is waiting for Carson
2017.
Wentz. Thank you. The world is waiting for Carson Wentz of 2017. Ain't nobody seen it yet. Okay? Got run slap out of Indianapolis last year because he was the reason they didn't go to the playoffs. So he's Carson Wentz, 29 years old, on his 3rd team. The world is waiting for Carson Wentz.
Will the real Slim Shady please stand up?
Please stand up. Okay. Philadelphia.
Come on, Jalen.
Is Jalen the guy? Is he the guy? Okay. He got 2 number 1s now. He got that boy Devontae Smith from Alabama, won the Heisman Trophy. They went over there and got that boy Brown from Tennessee. They got him. So he got 2 legit number 1s. He got very good defense, and the offensive line is good. And Lord knows I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts, but he does not throw the football with anticipation. He does not do it. He does not do it.
Never done it in college.
Now, that don't mean you can't win with him, but he got to prove he the guy. And then last, them New York Giants.
Sir Danny.
Them New York Giants, now I'm telling you about them New York Giants. They got more problems than a math book, but if they dot all their I's and cross all their T's, they could win it. And I'm going to tell you why. From the pocket, they probably have the best throwing quarterback in Daniel Jones. From the pocket, operating from the pocket.
Okay.
Big question mark them. They took the big tackle, Neal, from Alabama. Is he a plug-in guy at left tackle? Okay. And most of all, Lord help, can Saquon Barkley stay healthy?
That's the problem, Coach.
Slim. Saquon Barkley done missed 21 games since he joined the New York Giants. He missed 21 games.
Been in the
21 games. In the 4-year career that he's had so far, he done missed 21 games. So you got 4 teams, Slim, all 4 of them, each one of them got something to prove. And I tell you, Slim, I think they're going to be a hell of a division. Before we get up out of here, who going to win that division?
I say it's going to be a dogfight between the Commanders, just because I'm still hopeful for.
You believe in Carson Wentz?
Coach,
come on,
so I still like the 2017 odds. And I don't like them, but the Cowboys, there's too much on that team for me to say no, Coach.
Who going to win it?
Dallas.
Ooh, Dallas. Well,
grudgingly, Dallas.
Dallas. Okay,
Dallas.
Well, the old cheerleaders cheer 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. Who's the best team in July and August? Dallas. All right. I'm going to tell you right now. The Philadelphia Eagles and my dog, Jalen Hurd, the Philadelphia Eagles going to win the NFC East. You heard it on HomeSpun Sports, Season 3, Show number 3. You heard it right here.
I hope you're right. But it was a pleasure being in the studio with you again, Coach, man. This was a hell of a reunion show.
What a reunion.
Tell my love.
What a reunion. What a reunion. Man. Yeah. Hey, man, give my best to everybody up in Dell City.
I will, Coach.
I do it, man. All right. And finally, Alma Basil Androzio wrote, if I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can encourage someone with a word or a song, if I can help someone who is traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. Rest in paradise to the great Bill Russell. 2-time NCAA champ, 11-time NBA champ. But more than that, Bill Russell was a champion of humanity. Rest in paradise, Bill. And hey, that's how I see it. 6 o'clock, straight up and down.
One of the most decorated NBA player of all time.
Ain't no question, man. Ain't no question. And just,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of HomeSpun Sports Talk with a
University
Defenders
of the Golden Blue.
Thank you so much, Craig Davis, Aeneas Williams, and Maurice Hurst for being part of episode 3 of season 3 of HomeSpun Sports. We thank you so much, and we look forward to you being a part of our
until we get the victory
of our show in the future. Y'all make sure you hit the like button, hit the comment, stay subscribed. Hey, Coach.
Yeah, man.
Let's get up out of here, man.
Man, you ain't saying nothing but a word, dog. Love you, Craig. Love you, Maurice. Love you, Anastasia. What do you say? Bang! Bang! Hey, all right.